Episode 212 of the Outdoor Biz Podcast with Wes Allen of Sunlight Sports and the Argo Agency, brought to you by Revenue River. Revenue River is a Colorado-based digital technology and marketing agency helping companies in the outdoor industry execute their e-commerce and online efforts. As certified BigCommerce and Shopify partners and a Diamond HubSpot partner, they are well equipped with the technical experience and expertise to solve any business problem. Whether you need help with website design, system integrations, online store management, or growth marketing, they will help you achieve your goals. Revenue River clientele also includes Sterling Rope, Deuter USA, Alps Outdoors, and the Outdoor Biz Podcast. When you're ready to compete and win online, contact the Revenue River team at revenueriver.co/outdoorbiz. Hey, so if you've been listening to this show and following me on all the digital and social places, you know how much I believe in podcasting as a tool for expanding your reach. Podcasting is a great way to engage your audience directly through your voice. And the human voice, yes, your voice to be exact, is one of your most important superpowers. Your podcast will inspire and motivate your followers near and far. If you've considered adding a podcast to your toolkit, let's jump on a call and I'll explain how you can add one to your quiver. Visit podcastersworkshop.com/brainstorm and I will walk you through the steps so you can get started. He grew up on a ranch outside Cody, Wyoming, currently the principal at Sunlight Sports, co-founder of the Argo Agency, and former president of Grassroots Outdoor Alliance, Wes Allen. Hey, Wes, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Rick. I'm really, I'm kind of flattered to be here. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. I'm flattered to have you on. It's good to catch up with you. We don't catch up that much at OR and whatnot, but it'll be a great conversation this morning.
Yeah, it will be. We must run in slightly different circles.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, well, and that shows, you know how it is. I mean, we all get so busy and whatnot, but yeah. So let's start off with how you got introduced to the outdoors. How'd that happen?
Well, I grew up here in Wyoming, and I actually grew up on a relatively large cattle ranch. So from the time I was a little kid, being outdoors and going out kind of into the mountains was just part of life. Like that was my dad's job. I think the big formative thing for me, though, and the thing that I remember really clearly is as a really young kid, my parents took some time off from going into the mountains, and we did like a 2-week pack trip into the mountains, nice. Into the Wind River Range. And, you know, for people who aren't like familiar with it, pack trip is like, backpacking, but horses carry your stuff.
Right.
And that was, I was probably no more than 5 when we did that.
That would have been awesome. And horses and mules carry good stuff. You can have bacon and eggs and
yes.
Yeah, big cast iron fry pans, right?
Cast iron pans, yeah, all that great stuff. And it was a great trip. I remember I have a one crystal clear memory of that trip. Sitting out on a little peninsula in a lake in the winds with one of my parents' friends, and the sun was just going down, and him telling me to be quiet and turning around and watching a bear walk across the base of the peninsula, followed by a couple of little cubs. And,
wow, very cool.
Yeah, that
would seal the deal right there. Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime anybody asks me, I got into the outdoors, that's the moment that flashes to my mind. I've never forgotten that.
What a great memory. Was that a working cattle ranch?
It was.
Wow.
It was. So we had cattle and sheep and relatively large numbers of both, kind of separate herds scattered through both the Absaroka Mountains that are kind of the eastern boundary of Yellowstone, and the Bighorn Mountains, which are in north central Wyoming, and the ranch was in between the two.
Oh, cool.
It was awesome. My first summer job after I could drive was driving supplies to the folks who are out like with the herds, both the cattle and
awesome.
the sheep herders up in the mountains, driving them food and everything in like an old beat up Chevy truck.
Yeah.
So, I would be able to take half the day and drop off, dog food and cookies and coffee and that kind of stuff to these guys who are like living out by themselves out in the mountains, and then take the afternoon to go hike or fish or whatever.
You must have met some characters too. I bet there were some characters out there.
Oh yeah, there were.
We could do a whole other show just on that.
Yeah. I will tell you that it's not the average person that decides to live in a small trailer with
right.
sheep in the mountains all summer. Yeah,
right.
They were colorful. That was the best way to put it.
That's right. That's very cool. Yeah. So you have a wide range of experience in the outdoor space. Tell us about a little bit about your background and then the Argo Agency. I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah. Well, I do have a wide range of experience. My first formal job in the outdoor industry was here at Sunlight Sports. Cody was the nearest big town to the ranch. And after I graduated from college, I came in for a summer job because I'd purchased stuff here before. Mm-hmm. And I wound up staying. And then, cool. A year later or so, the folks who owned it, the woman who owned this with her husband, her much younger sister came back from college in New Zealand. And I wound up getting married to that person.
Well, that's good.
And so, kind of got into the family that way.
The family business is a good way to do it.
Yes, it is. But we spent about 10 years working for REI. I worked there about 10 years. Melissa worked there about 7 years. Mm-hmm. And then went into sales management for Chaco, both when it was like the small Colorado-owned business. Mm-hmm. And then I transitioned over as they got purchased by Wolverine. And then after that, we came back and bought Sunlight Sports. And that's been about 10 years ago.
Okay.
Argo is something that's a little bit newer. It's,
pretty new, a couple years, right?
Yeah, a couple years old.
Yeah.
And Argo Agency is a specialty agency that works on really kind of building out bespoke marketing programs between retailers or I should say between brands and the retailers they identify as their key specialty accounts. And obviously from my background and what I do now, I really believe in the power of specialty retail to tell a brand story and act as a kind of a very powerful partner in telling the stories that brands like to tell about themselves. Well, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, keep going. Sorry, I was gonna ask. I just read on your website about the recent campaign you guys did with Summit Hut and Nemo, and it was very cool because the thing I like about it, and probably what you can do more than just the brand can do, is customize it to the region, right? The area, and the retailer, and that's very powerful.
It is. We have an ability with some of these great brands, and Nemo is a good example. We've worked with quite a few brands in the outdoor industry now. One of the things that happen is when people go into a specialty retailer, there's kind of this ambiance, and Summit Hut's a great one. Yep, great example, because you go in there and it is definitely an Arizona outdoor store. Yep. I mean, they sell snake gators, and they've got saguaro cactus skeletons on the wall. It's not a Pacific Northwest store.
Exactly.
And, if brands want to tell a great story there that resonate with customers, they want to be able to tell a story that local customers will relate to. And that's the whole conceit behind Argo. So we go in and we actually customize it for every single retailer. And
perfect.
The vast majority of retailers that we work with, we do a photo shoot with. The brands, when we do brand signage and POP and everything in the store for the brand, it's actually kind of this weird meld of the brand's aesthetic and the store's aesthetic. So, for example, with Summit Hut, when we did the signs, it was pictures of people in the mountains right outside of Tucson. And,
perfect. And,
the fonts and the colors and everything were Summit Hut fonts and colors, but it was very much a Nemo campaign.
And it's so powerful because the locals can relate to it then. if they can, I've been to that campground. I know where that is, as opposed to seeing some generic POP on the wall of the Pacific Northwest down there in Tucson. That doesn't work, right?
It doesn't work. And it is really powerful. I know having a store here in Northwest Wyoming, right outside of Yellowstone.
Yeah.
If I have a sign that's got as much as I love Moab, but if I've got a sign that shows a bunch of people in the Red Rock,
right.
That is generic advertisement. It's not something that maybe draws you in as much.
Yeah, I like that. So how does that all get put together? I mean, everybody has to participate, I guess, in the creation and funding of it, right?
Yeah. Everybody does participate in it. The brands sign up. They identify the retailers they want to work with. And we have a team at Argo that includes copywriters and photographers and creatives that put the campaigns together.
Cool. Perfect. Yeah. Do you ever work with, if someone had a local photographer they wanted to involve and do you use that sometimes too?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's actually our first choice. You have to vet the local photographer and stuff, but there are so many talented people out there that we really haven't found it to be difficult to find someone who has a great eye, does good work, and really captures the spirit of the place.
Right, and know some of the secret spots that you may not know to go to, right? Yeah. That's what happens around here in Bishop all the time. We know all the great spots that have not been photographed a million times. So,
right. In Bishop, there's that one boulder that you always see photos of,
that's right? Yeah.
And then, but then the locals would go somewhere else.
Right, exactly. They do go somewhere else frequently.
Yes.
Yeah. And so how does it work for the retailer? Who decides? So you guys go out and vet retailers and decide which brands to work with. How does that package come together? Do retailers come to you? Do brands come to you? I guess both do, probably.
The brands, initially brands come to us. Mm-hmm. Retailers that we've worked with generally always say, hey, this was great. Will you mind working with these brands? And then we go make the contacts there. But, most of the time, the central theory on this is that brands really benefit from partnering with these marquee retailers, right? And so they will generally come up with a list. They'll generally come up with a list of retailers, and generally they're really good. That's a list of 20 people, and now we're going to cut it down to 10 or something. And one of the things I didn't mention is I had some time at the Grassroots Outdoor Alliance. And so I, in that organization, I know a lot of the retailers. And then it's easy to figure out, who's going to be interested, who's going to be the best fit. And then we narrow it down to there.
Yeah, right.
Cool. To that list.
Yeah. Well, having worked inside for some of these brands too, we all have our target list of, key retailers and, there's the cream of the crop. And, unfortunately, that's the way of life. There's the best of the best, and then everybody else trickles on through. So that's how that works. And people can find you at argoagency.com. Is that how they can find out about that?
Yeah, that is correct.
Perfect.
Yep.
Cool. So how's Sunlight Sports doing there at the moment? How's everything going in light of this? So we're recording in the middle of the COVID pandemic, which has created interesting situations and environments for all of us. How you guys doing?
Well, it's remarkably quiet in the store because we like many shops, have been forced to shut down. We're not open now, and we're in Wyoming, which has had a relatively relaxed response to the COVID thing.
You're the only guys that keep popping up on the map with no deaths. Congratulations.
Well, yeah. It's it's a function of being the least populated state in the union too.
Right.
There's slightly less people that live here than live in Cincinnati.
That's true. I was going to say something about that,
but our county has asked for everybody to, kind of shelter in place and not have non-essential retail open. So it's very quiet. The phone is ringing a lot. And, we're in a small town. It's 10,000 people.
Right.
And we're pretty tightly knit in with our community. So, I would tell you not being able to open our doors is a huge problem for the business. But I'm an optimistic realist as we're kind of moving forward into what's going to happen. And, I think there are so many variables that nobody knows what's going to happen. For Sunlight Sports, we're fortunate in having a community that's been so supportive of us. If, specialty retail is going to succeed coming out of this, I think Sunlight has as good a chance as just about anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if you have a strong connection to the community, and thus you'll have a strong connection to the greater community, because people, as much as we travel all these days, I think you're right. And the specialty part of specialty, I think I commented on somebody's post the other day on LinkedIn. It's a good opportunity for those of us in the specialty outdoor space to bring back the specialty notion, right? We are unique. We are special. We have certain talents and knowledge and skills that others don't. So we need to leverage that moving forward, my opinion. But
yeah, I absolutely agree. Coming out of this, consumers are going to pick and choose winners and losers, right? Yeah. And it's not lost, I think, on any of us, right, in the industry that a really lively conversation 6 months ago was the fact that the U.S. was over retailed. A lot of brands were over distributed, and a lot of retailers were overextended. Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody wanted to address those issues in the way we're looking to address them here in the next couple of months. Right. But those two things are related. And I think, I do believe that specialty can come out of this very strong as people think more carefully about where they're going to spend their money on the other side of this thing. However, we've got to earn it too. Yeah. And we can't relax and rest on our laurels and say, hey, everybody likes us, so come on back. Mm-hmm. We've got a lot of work to do in front of us too.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think there's some other, you and I, excuse me, have been commenting on a couple of LinkedIn posts. A couple of weeks ago, somebody posted something about the alarm bells ringing for outdoor industry, and many think, myself included, that there's some headwinds before this pandemic, which is what you just spoke about, that we're going to have to address. So as we move through this, are you hearing anything in the last week or two when we, as we do come out of this, that's inspiring to you? That's, good tactics, good strategies?
Well, I think one thing that's inspiring to me, there are some good tactics and strategies. I would say the one thing that's inspiring to me is if you look at what people's default response to all of this has been, a lot of the U.S., their response is to go outside and go for a walk.
Right.
Those of us who are fortunate enough to live in places where there's, not just our neighborhoods, but public lands nearby where you can responsibly recreate in this, in this time. Mm-hmm. That's what people are doing. Yeah. And, one of the inspirations I get is, Cody is surrounded by 5.5 million acres of public lands. Nice. So there's a lot of space out there. Last Wednesday, I went out into the mountains, and on my way to the mountains, I saw more people at trailheads, on the lake, on the mountain bike trails than I've ever seen in a day in April. Wow, Wyoming.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. And those are probably all locals, right?
They are, because nobody's coming in and out of Wyoming right now. So that for me is inspirational, knowing that all of this has caused us to, all of what's going on has caused us to reconnect with the outdoors. It's given people time, and it's given people a reason to get out there. As far as strategies and tactics that have inspired me, I think I'm watching some of the brands and some of our peers in retail take this opportunity to reach out and connect more deeply with the people that are around them, whether it's, pivoting their production to producing productive gear, whether it's, not going on a sales pitch, but saying, hey, here's some things you could do to make this time easier.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Donating to the local communities. The people who come out of this thing are going to be successful as brands or as retailers or as part of the larger outdoor industry. Are they going to be the people who made a positive difference and who people remember 2 months from now.
I think you're right.
And yeah, I find those things inspirational. I find the people who are using this as an opportunity for a sales pitch to be kind of off-putting, and I'm not sure they'll be around. The people who are trying to make things better are the people I think that are going to succeed when we get on the other side of it.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think the consumer, we're all going to be impacted financially on the other side of this thing, but we're still going to go outside, like you were just saying. So we're still going to need some stuff when we go outside. Maybe not new stuff, but we'll need some food or whatever it might, fuel and whatnot to go backpacking. So there'll still be some money that needs to be spent, and the specialty retailer locally, like yourself, will do pretty well. We've got a couple here in Bishop that are in the same boat. They're closed, but I think they're trying to do some online stuff, but they're still handling with people. And we don't see in Bishop, we have a much smaller community. It was funny, I've been going out every afternoon to this place that I fish regularly, and I haven't been fishing as much just because I feel like it's a time to leave the fish alone. Everybody needs a break,
Yeah.
And it's been interesting that there's been nobody out there, which is good in a way that they're going other places to get their outdoor experience on. And it's nice to see that the land and the environment is getting to take a little bit of a break as well, which is a good thing, I think. So,
yeah, I think so too. And you guys get some pretty heavy use during your main season.
My goodness, yeah.
So.
The fishing opener was supposed to happen, I think, next weekend. And we've been doing a really good job of the community at large, telling everybody, look, stay away. We're a small town. We don't have a lot of beds and medical things if something were to happen. So, and it's good. People are paying attention. The fishing opener, though, is causing a little angst from folks, but it's such a big deal.
I bet it is.
Yeah, the governor even mentioned it on his presentation the other night. So,
oh, jeez.
it'll be fine. They'll postpone it, and it'll still happen. It'll just happen a little later. So,
Yeah, we're having the same thing in Wyoming, where the governor has suspended the sales of out-of-state fishing licenses.
Oh, interesting.
And all those kinds of things. So, I think that's caused some angst. And, looking forward, there's also both fishing and hunting permits have been delayed as far as issuing hunting tags. And, in the greater outdoor market, that's caused some concern here locally because in the fall, there are a lot of outfitters that take people hunting and fishing around here. And without the issuance of those permits, there's a segment of the outdoor industry that is feeling a little bit shaky right now. Those people aren't as confident as they could be, probably.
Yeah. That's same with the backcountry skiing. It's funny that we've gotten some really good spring snow here, and I think the spring skiing is off the charts. But, again, we don't want you to go back there because we don't want you to get hurt and have to be rescued or cause an avalanche, and so the guides are all getting impacted. But it's hitting everybody.
It is, and it's the law of unforeseen circumstances, right? We can't tell what the downstream effects are going to be.
Exactly. Yeah, we have no idea. Yeah. So some of the things that we've been talking about too on LinkedIn and whatnot is shortening the supply chain. Is this the catalyst for some of those jobs to come back to the U.S., you think? You think people will be moving some production back here?
I think it is the catalyst for some of that production to come back. There's a dynamic tension, I think, between that and the price issue, because I think people are going to want to spend less money coming back.
Right.
But I do believe that some of that production is coming back into the United States. And, I also believe that the fallout from this is going to, unfortunately, really impact people that the outdoor industry has been doing business with overseas a lot, people who own factories and all those kinds of things. Yeah. But the growth of those factories and the expansion of the production capacity in Asia has really, driven kind of the over retailing and everything going on. It's very much tied in. It's not a coincidence that the more product that the outdoor industry made, the less of it was made in the U.S. because the scalability, was across the pond.
Yeah.
I think, all the retail sectors are going to contract. And I think as they contract, there's a lot of opportunity to bring stuff back. I also think, as far as shortening the supply chain, one of the key aspects of that is I think this is a moment that will start to slow style turnover in the outdoor industry.
Mm-hmm.
We know we're going to see it in the spring 21, in that the things that people were making and delivering for spring 20,
right,
those are pretty much going to be what they're going to deliver for spring 21.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, it was interesting. There was you shared something about the OmniTalk folks on LinkedIn the other day, and they were talking about all that. Yeah, it's just going to get pushed. Yeah, you're right.
It is going to get pushed, and I actually hope, as part of this shortening of the production chain, that we get to a spot in the outdoor industry where we don't have to have quite as high of a percentage of our launches be new product.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that's also tied in with how many people are selling the product, how many people need to get out of the product at the end of the season.
Right.
I think I'm hoping that all of us are taking some time as we're working from home and have this little bit of a breather right now to think about ways that we can make that happen, and maybe kind of stop some of the madness that was going on before the COVID thing hit.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I think there's just been too much and too new all the time, and it's just, man, let's hold on here. Yeah, I think you're right. And what about trade shows? What do you think is going to happen in the future of trade shows? They've been, they've had some significant headwinds lately, and now that this is keeping everybody from traveling, and who knows how people are going to want to travel moving forward. I've been hearing a lot of folks, big sports guys, so people are questioning whether you're going to want to sit right next to some guy at a baseball game moving forward that you don't know.
Right.
Maybe not. So I think that'll impact trade shows in a unique way.
I think it will impact trade shows in a really remarkable way. As we chat, Rick, there are multiple companies that are spending all day pitching virtual trade shows and online showings and those kinds of things. And I think we are going to move more that way. I think the longer this goes on and the higher the impact is in terms of lives lost and people getting sick and the economic impact of this thing, especially between now and a vaccine being rolled out,
right,
the less likely that the big 30,000 person trade show is going to be, because there's just going to be a lot of people who are, spending weeks at home right now watching the news and seeing what's going on. Those people are going to be rightfully resistant to going into a big a trade show, right? And spending the time there. You and I have probably been to, I don't even want to say, but if combined we're
let's not count those
5 or 90 trade shows.
Oh, right? At least, yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Of the big ones,
right.
If we think back on it, there's always times that you go, oh, I got the trade show crud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The crud's a lot worse now than it was.
Yeah.
So I think, but I also do know on the other side of it is the undeniable fact that we are a social species, and that the whole outdoor industry, right, is built on a community.
Yep.
Outdoor retailers, a 25,000 person town that you spend 2 weeks in every year, right?
Right. Yep.
And it's got neighborhoods and all that kind of stuff, and it's really important.
Yeah.
I do believe that there will continue to be in-person kind of meeting of the minds, get together in the industry.
Yeah.
I don't believe they're going to look just like they did 2 years ago.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
They'll be smaller. They'll be more focused. Ironically, they might be more productive.
Well, they might be a lot more productive, and I think less focused on the gear and maybe more focused on the strategy and the relationships, right? Because I think one of the things that's inspired me, I was talking to a couple people this week about the future, how trade shows are maybe not going to be the place to go do the showing of the product. That could be done virtually online. There's a buddy of mine's a photographer, and he's just got signing contracts and stuff to do all these huge, virtual video recordings for these people that are technical products, medical products, all kinds of stuff that they're just not going to travel anymore. So you can do it all online. And I think this is also improving the tools we have to use to do this virtual stuff, right? Zoom has exploded. Everybody's on Zoom right now. And I think those photographers and videographers can get together, work with a brand and get all kinds of content created to push out, not only to train people on the product, but show and sell the product. It's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out.
It is going to be interesting. There are people out there like Brand Live and other folks that, have been pushing for the last several years to make brand videos and to do virtual sell-in. And, while they've had some people pick it up, the adoption hadn't been very high.
Right. There's no catalyst to switch.
Right. But now there's a catalyst and there's money because, nobody's going to OR, nobody's going to the other trade shows. And while everybody's cutting budgets, people are investing and investigating this new option. And I think for this year, we're definitely going there. And then for the longer term, I think there's no going back. One of the things that's happened, I think, with the trade show portion of our industry and the industry as a whole is we're moving forward 5 years in about 2 months right now.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah, that's right.
So it's painful, right? Like we're not used to that sort of acceleration. But, 5 years from now, I think that there were going to be a lot more people on Zoom, and there were going to be more people looking at lines like on their computer, like buyers fondling fabric swatches as they watch a video.
Right, exactly, right.
It's just going to happen a lot more quickly than we thought it was going to.
Yeah, I think you're right, yeah. And it's going to be exciting. I think it's the tools part of it, and I think the outdoor industry is some technology we adopt really quickly and others we're a little slow at, but I think this one, it's just like you say, the catalyst is so strong you almost have to adopt it. So away we go.
Yeah, I think so too. And to your point, when you were talking about the medical supply and all that kind of stuff, it's not just the outdoor industry,
Right.
Like the trade show thing is a huge deal. When I was with Grassroots, I went to a convention that was for people who planned conventions and trade shows. And I sat next to a person who was in charge of the trade show for pallet manufacturers, the wooden things you put stuff on.
Wow.
I came home and I just said, wow, there are a lot more trade shows and a lot more people traveling to trade shows than I thought there were. This is going to be a huge change just across all of American commerce.
Yeah, it's going to be super, super challenging for a lot of folks. Let's shift gears a little bit. How are you guys handling COVID up there? We talked a little bit about that. You're staying home. You're getting out and about. Any other changes in routines that you've employed?
Well, there's been some very positive changes. I think like everybody else, we've had the chance to cook at home and spend time as a family more. And one of the things I love to do is I do love to cook. And so that's been a very positive and kind of centering thing. Our morning routines are much less rushed. We get up at a more reasonable hour and have breakfast together. And almost every day.
What are some of the things you cook? What's your favorite thing to cook?
Oh, I would say that the thing that I love to cook the most is paella.
Oh, man, after my own heart. My grandfather was from Spain. He made the best paella.
Oh, really? Yeah. I love Spanish cuisine as a whole. The process of making paella and kind of the gathering in the kitchen and kind of some of the fiddly little parts and having a glass of wine. It's as much a social occasion.
Oh, completely.
As it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's fantastic. You'll never guess what we're going to have tonight.
Paella. I'm going to jump on a plane. I'll be there.
Okay. Yeah, come on over.
Yeah.
I hear there's lots of seats available.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It'll be easy to get in. Yeah. No, I still have the family chorizo recipe. So,
you do?
Yeah. So I haven't made it in a while. I mean, that's a good thing. I should do that right now while it's quiet. But it's fabulous. Yeah. I haven't made paella yet, but I got the sausage making down. So
there you go. Yeah, that's fantastic. You should take that opportunity, and I'll be on a plane over to Bishop.
All right, cool. I'll make a bunch up and send you a few, and you can let me know what you think. Yeah.
Sounds great.
You're still getting outside. I heard you mentioned you fly fish. What other activities are you doing?
Hiking
right
now. Hiking a lot. it's much like you. And I think the environments in Cody and Bishop are pretty similar. We're in the Northern Rockies.
Yes.
It's a little bit of mud season right now. Mm-hmm. So, hiking and fly fishing are the two that are really available. Cut Perfect. Back on the skiing and all that kind of stuff. Although my Nordic stuff I have been put to good use.
Oh, cool.
As part of my routine, I've been trying to get out for hour or two every day.
Same. Yeah.
Just to clear the mind a little bit and everything. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And do you have any suggestions or advice for folks wanting to get into the outdoor adventure biz or grow their career if they're already in the biz?
Yeah, I think this might be the least surprising advice ever. But, I think that the outdoor biz, even though it's gotten bigger and there are big multinational corporations mm-hmm. involved and everything now, at its base, it is a passion industry. Like, very few people are in the outdoor industry because this is the only job they can find. Right. They're here because, right? Yeah. They're here because they care about it. And I think what you want to do is, if I was, my one suggestion I'd give to people is I'd wear your passions on your sleeve a little bit more, whether it's for your job or for the outdoor activities that you enjoy. In the outdoor industry, I think we all respond to that and find it a positive thing. And we like being around people who are passionate about something.
I like that.
And I think, in your career, if you can be passionate about your job and passionate about your activities, other people in the outdoor industry are more inclined to help you with your career.
I think you're right. Yeah. And that's how a lot of conversations start, right? You might meet somebody and start talking about, the fly fishing adventure, the backcountry ski you just did, and then in a circuitous way find out that you also work in the space or, do something totally different, but you spend so much time in the outdoor space that we have a lot in common. That's a good, I love that. Yeah. That hasn't come up on the show, I don't think. That's a good one.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I've been thinking about it a lot because, in all the rest of the world, they have golf. In the outdoor industry, and you go golf together and then you get promoted. But in the outdoor industry, we have fly fishing, we have mountain biking, we have climbing, we have all these things.
So many things.
And we're very tribal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But our tribes, all the good tribes in the outdoor industry are defined by what you like to do and not who you were born as.
Right. I like that. I might use that. I'm going to be on a conference call later this afternoon.
Please do.
I might share that. That's a good one. So let's shift gears a little bit. What's your favorite outdoor gear purchase under $100? We were talking about this a little earlier.
We were talking about this a little earlier, and I'm going to cheat and I'm going to have two.
Okay,
I have
cool.
a Dana Designs Bangtail hip pack from the 90s that I am certain, because it was 20 odd years ago, was under $100.
I'll bet I have I have an old price list. I can look that up.
Okay. I will tell you, I use that thing to hold my Tenkara fly fishing stuff now.
Oh,
and use it a lot. I love that thing. If I'm not going to cheat, and I'm going to tell you something I'm certain is under $100.
Yep.
I do love to backpack. I love to camp and hike. I love getting up in the morning in the outdoors. And my favorite thing is it's a brand called Espro, and it is a double-walled, insulated French coffee press.
Oh,
that's
cool.
about the size of a large water bottle. Like a Hydro Flask or a Purist or something, a little bit narrower. It's completely irresponsible as a backpacker to carry it on the trail.
Hey, but if you're a coffee nut, I'm a coffee nut. You will go to ends of the earth to have good coffee.
Yeah, totally. And I love that thing because it makes great coffee. It's easy to clean up, and it's the double wall, so everything's all in one piece, and then your coffee stays hot.
Yeah,
so get your stove going, get some water going, make your coffee. The coffee's still hot, and you can go, sit and look at the lake or at the mountains or everything as the sun comes up, and your coffee's not cold.
Perfect.
As opposed to my old blue enamel mug or something.
Yeah, I've tried so many things. Yeah, well, we'll link to that in the show notes. That's I might have to pick one of those up. And I'm not sure I can link to a bang tail, but I'll find something. There's a photo or something online. I'm sure I can find.
There has to be.
Yeah, I might have one in an old file of a catalog or something. But yeah, if you could have a huge banner at the entrance to the OR show, what would it say?
It would be cheating to say wash your hands, wouldn't it?
Very appropriate these days, but
I would put on the banner something along the lines of do your job well, understand where it fits in the big picture of the industry.
I like it.
Because I think there's a whole, when the outdoor industry is working well, there's an ecosystem that's super productive, that there's room for kind of everybody in, like specialty people and big box and online and the direct to consumer folks, brand marketers and people who run, pro deal sites and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There's a picture of a very healthy ecosystem where we can survive and thrive in the outdoor industry.
I like
we've run into a lot of problems because people, their role is to do one thing really well, and so they go in and they advocate for their segment above all others, and it damages the rest of the industry.
Yeah,
there is a balance there that I think that we need to hit.
And back to that connection, like you said, we're a tribe, and that connection and cohesion. I think we've lost a little of that over the years.
We definitely have, and I think the answer is not just to hire our friends, because we need new brain power again. But I think it's a leadership issue for all of us in the industry, and I think if there's going to be anything positive about COVID and the show environment and everything else that we've talked about, Rick, I think there's this opportunity, and again, I'm an optimist.
I like that. Yeah.
I think there's this opportunity 18 months from now where there's a gathering of people in the outdoor industry who speak clearly and in a visionary manner that inspire people to build a more sustainable outdoor industry. This is an opportunity for us to really reset.
Yeah.
And be healthier coming out of the other side of this, because there were a lot of parts of the industry that weren't healthy 6, 9, 12 months ago. Right.
Yeah. Well, like you say, we've been, bumping up against these headwinds, and this is forced upon us to deal with it. We've been sweeping them under the rug and kind of ignoring them and waiting for somebody else to fix it. And it's like, no. This is us. We got to do it. Then we can do it together. Yeah.
Yeah. So in a perfect world, OR and the other gathering places would be the places where we have these conversations and we start on that road.
Yep. I'm with you. Yep. I agree. And if people want to reach out to you, what's the best way to follow up if they have any questions or just want to chat or pick your brain? Or we mentioned Argo. Maybe they might want to hire you.
Yeah. Well, that would be great.
Yeah.
I'm pretty easy to find on LinkedIn. And so people can find me there. That's a good place to connect with me. Also, yep. And I'm more than happy to just give out my work email. It's super easy. It's wes@sunlightsports.com.
Awesome. All right. We'll put those two links in the show notes too. That's great. Well, it's been great catching up with you, Wes. I enjoyed the conversation.
The enjoyment has been mutual. This has been super fun, Rick. Thank you for having me on.
We'll have to make it a point to do it face-to-face at the next show.
That sounds
But
great.
Keep our distance.
I would love that. Yes. Beers 6 feet apart.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate the time. Have a good day.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah, you too, Rick.
Thank you for listening. If you want more of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, be sure and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcast. Be sure and go to the outdoorbizpodcast.com where you find all the episodes, show notes, and much, much more. Have a great week and be sure to get outside.